Welcome to the Coming Strength and Fitness podcast. I'm Jill, coach and owner of CS&F. My team and I are here to help you take charge of your fitness and nutrition. In each episode, we'll provide you our best so that you can take your health to the next level. I hope you enjoyed today's episode with our host and coach, Alex Cottingham.
Coming Strength and Fitness, thanks again for tuning in to today's episode. 99% of the time, I have my wing woman, Jill, here. She's not here. We miss you dearly, Jill. Shout out to you. But who I have in the studio is not new to CS&F, new to the podcast, but I'm super excited to chat with Lou Freitas. Wait, I said it wrong already. Freitas.
Nailed it.
I've known Lou for over 2 years now, and he just says his name, and I just realized I'm mispronouncing your last name. How do you say your last name?
I'm still Freitas.
Lou Freitas.
Yes.
I've been calling you Freitas at least in my mind, for 2 years. So I apologize for the incorrect name usage.
Accepted.
Lou, it's a hot day in Georgia here. How are you feeling on just a normal weekday for Lou Freitas?
Feeling good. Yeah, one foot in front of the other, one day after the next. Everything's going great. Great to be here.
We're going to talk about all things Lou, his experience, but then also in the back half of this conversation, we're going to talk about what dropping into other gyms look like, because whether you are familiar with CrossFit or you're a seasoned veteran, there are other CrossFit gyms all around the world. CrossFit is a global phenomenon that has pretty much birthed gyms all around the world. So this is, we hope, very helpful for people who travel, for people who like to try new things, for people who want to continue their momentum when they're not in their normal routine of just here in Cumming, Georgia. So we're going to dig into that a little bit on the back half of this conversation. But first, Lou, we're going to dig into you and just how your experience here at CS&F has been. So for people who are new to Lou, give us like a quick 60-second snapshot of who you are.
Husband, father of three, have been in Cumming since 2012, originally from New Jersey. I've been in Georgia since 2004, started off in Gwinnett County, and just through career stuff, moved around quite a bit, and settled here in Cumming, and loving it. But leaving soon also, going to Canton at some point here in the near future. I know.
So Lou broke my heart a little while back and said, hey, we are moving, we're building a house, and unfortunately you're going to have to stop our time here at CS&F. And I told him no, because he is a lifetime member and he cannot leave. No, we are excited for this next chapter, Lou, and you always have a home here. And whenever you're listening to this, whether he's in Canton or Cumming, that Lou has just made a fingerprint and thumbprint here at CS&F, and he makes us better. He's volunteered in our competitions. He's led one of them. He's participated in them. He's won them.
Very recently, yes. Bod Squad, shout out.
The Bod Squad, and has done so much more. So Lou, we're so much grateful for your impact here. Tell us what kind of brought you here to CS&F. Why did you even start?
Yeah, it's weird. So, I've got a history of athleticism throughout my life, but it's been a lot of HIIT workouts and played basketball, quote unquote, competitively. I think competitively throughout my life, and I don't even remember where it was, but I think I represent kind of the median age of the folks in this gym. And as you get into your 40s, you start losing people your age that you don't really you've never experienced before. So for me, I lost somebody in my circle who they weren't athletic. They were making some tough choices, and they were gone far too soon.
Now, when you say lose them, you mean they passed away, or they just lost the friendship?
No, they passed away, like heart attack.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Due to health-related
Exactly
things.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was doing okay, but I was like, am I doing my best?
Yeah.
Right? Am I being my best self? Am I challenging myself? And I definitely was not. And I drove by this place all the time, and I said, you know what? I heard that's really hard. Well, let me just see what it's about, right? And that was it. True to form, it was really hard in the beginning. I got my first fundamental class with you. I came in feeling a little confident and wasn't sure I was going to learn anything, and quickly learned. Now, I never had a strength background, so I was always cardio guy.
Okay.
With the basketball HIIT stuff, it was never Olympic lifts, and that can be intimidating. But
sure,
what I found out very quickly also is that it's not that hard if you have the right coaching around you. They're going to guide you through it.
Yeah.
And you did a great job of reassuring me. even though as I look back and look at some video, I was like, I don't know that I would have been able to reassure myself.
Sure. I think it was just even a couple weeks or a couple months ago, I was going through old photos, and I literally sent you a video I used in that fundamentals process of like watching you do a clean or deadlift or something, and then to see you come now 2+ years later has been just night and day. Like you have instrumental or exponentially increased in just form, technique, strength, fitness, all that stuff. So I like that you said you had a wake-up call. Your eyes are open. You kind of got in your 40s, be like, hey, I kind of got to like take my health seriously. So you drive on by, you come on in, and you said that your eyes were opened in just the first process is as far as fundamentals and coaching and like all that stuff. Tell us about like that initial maybe 30 to 45 days for you and kind of like what your eyes were open to. What were some of those wake-up calls? I know there was a little hiccup in there because you got an injury in the middle of that. Then we kind of had to restart. Give us kind of like all of that.
Yeah, so I started October 2020. Within a week, I cut my hand doing some work around the house. Took me out for 4 months. Then I came back.
Okay. It was not just a cut on the hand. You like you sliced your hand open.
It was 3 tendons in my hand, yeah.
Literally, I mean, you still have a scar because it was so gnarly. It was not just, oh, yeah, I cut my hand, I was out. It was like you had surgery.
Yeah. No, it was bad.
It was really bad.
It was bad.
Okay.
It was depressing also.
I know you
I was excited about this.
You were, and you were doing great.
And a week later, I was out for 6 months.
I know.
So I feel like my rebirth in this place was January 2022.
Yes.
Because then I came back for 6 months after that injury, and again hurt myself outside of this, just doing dumb stuff that I shouldn't be doing around the house, that I should be hiring out for, and it took me out of the game again. So really consistently since January 2022.
When you really felt like, okay, hey, I'm being consistent and hitting it head on.
Yeah. So October 2020 brought me here for those reasons.
Yep.
But then in and out. And last year, January, I was like, okay, I'm healed again, and this is what I'm going to do. And I will say this, as we get into like what I did, why I did it, I kind of made the decision that I wasn't going to cherry pick workouts. Like in the beginning, I used to like look at the workout and say, I'm not good at snatches. I'm just not going to go.
Sure.
Like, I want to go 3 times a week. I'm going to pick a different day to be my third day.
Okay.
And that's another thing I changed in January of last year. I was like, you know what? This is what we're doing. We're gonna be in Commitment Club every month, regardless. It doesn't matter. That is the bare minimum.
And what's Commitment Club?
Commitment Club is showing up for 18 classes a month.
Okay.
Right? You get shouted out, and that's all great. It's kind of like gives you a goalpost to go after.
Yes.
And not everybody's wired that way, but I am.
Yep.
I need something to shoot for,
yes,
and to work towards. And then when it's done, I need to find something new, which is, again, just bouncing around here is what I love about the quarterly check-ins with your coach, because you kind of establish where you are, and your coach, in this case Alex, asks you where you want to be, and then you develop a plan to get closer to that goal or achieving that goal in 3 months' time.
Yep.
And then you check in, and you may check in. We check in like every so often on how we're doing, but you have an official check-in in 3 months, and you're like, wow, I did it, or I missed it, but here's why.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of it helps you establish consistency that's required to hit that goal. And I think, that's just a really important part of being good at anything, not CrossFit. I mean, checkers, chess, whatever.
Exactly.
You got to be consistent, or you're just not going to see the gains. And that's what the difference between my first time around before I had my little nagging injuries.
Yes.
I was kind of inconsistent, and I was like happy to kind of just be here, and and that's fine. I think that's okay, actually.
Sure.
Right? But if you want to really move the needle, and you're a competitive person in your mindset, you really have to establish a goal and kind of live that goal. And I think that's what really changed everything for me last year.
So what have been some of the goals you've hit?
Yeah, so I think what's good about CrossFit is there's so much scaling. So there's always something to be moving towards. So I would say, like, when I got in last year, the best I can do is ring rows. I couldn't do pull-ups. I wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
And that was a goal of mine. So I think in January I was doing ring rows, and it's great. You can get a good workout, and it helps you work towards the next thing, which is pull-ups. So I got that, and then the next thing was like, okay, well, what else can I do? And it's like, well, muscle-ups is like another thing you can do that's on the bar. So those are the things I accomplished last year, whether it's, going from rings to pull-ups to muscle-ups, all within a year.
Yep.
Through consistency is, I don't really know what the standard is. I don't know how long that stuff normally takes, but for me, I was like, this is what I want to do. I need to get on the bar.
Right.
It bothers my, my ego that I'm not there yet, right? Because I'm a competitive person. And you were like, all right, listen, though, on the side, if you want to do these exercises, do some lat pull downs, do this, strengthen these areas, and you're going to get on that bar before you know it. And sure enough, I was. And then almost through an accident, I was like, I think several months later, I'm like, Alex, I'm not sure. I wonder if I can do like a muscle up.
I remember
right?
this
like,
day.
How do you do them? And it was ugly for the first 15 minutes, and then I kind of just clicked and got together. But
it just clicked in your head, and you immediately got them.
Yeah, and it was all the work in the 8 months that prepared me for it.
Exactly.
Right? It was like the right time for it because I was not really even trying to get a muscle up. It was like, hey, we had our check-in, and we just kind of talk and we work. If we're not working through something, and we've kind of already established my goals, and I was like,
let's just try.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do this. Cause
we had like 10, 15 minutes left, and then I think we were hitting class or something. We're like, hey, let's just look at muscle ups.
Yeah. And you did it like it was nothing. And then I was like, my first 35 tries were ugly, and my 36th one was like, I
got it.
I think I got it.
But I like what you said there, that a lot of people would look at that and be like, oh, Lou just tried in 10 minutes and got his first muscle up, where actually all the work that you put in for the first 8-9 months led you to that. And your consistency over those 8 to 9 months allowed you to be able to perform your first bar muscle up, because so many people want things so quick that they're like, well, in 3 months, I want to be getting muscle up, walking on my hands, and clean and jerking 200 pounds. I'm like, whoa. We're looking for like sustainable long-term results. We're not looking for the quick fixes or to get there in 90 days. Like you said, we're going to get bite-sized pieces and attack this little by little.
Yeah, and if you're checking in every 3 months and you're building on goals, you're going to find something that you can do that you didn't even think you were working towards. I was never working towards that.
Yep.
It was just like, let me try it because I feel like I'm really good at some other stuff that's kind of translatable to that. Like you can kind of move from one to the other. Like I can do pull-ups really well, I'm doing push-ups really well. I feel really strong. Let's just try it.
Yeah.
I might have tried it for another 4 months.
Right.
It just kind of popped up.
So those are some performance goals. What about some aesthetics goals? Because the way Lou Freitas, Big Lou, looked coming in back in 2020 to now, you look completely different. What are some aesthetics goals you've reached?
Yeah, I mean, so again, with the check-ins, doing the in-body scan and understanding where you are from a body fat percentage, from a skeletal muscle mass perspective, I moved the needle quite a bit with your help. And again, it wasn't an accident; it's consistency and kind of. I was just focused, and we were both saying, "Hey, just focus on what you want to accomplish inside these 4 walls."
Yep.
And then I eventually said, "Well, this isn't, I'm not getting enough. I'm not seeing my abs." And you're like, well, that's the kitchen, right? Let's talk about what you can do in the kitchen. Let's talk about, and you were very flexible in terms of providing guidance, because it wasn't like you need to be regimentally doing this, counting macros. It's like, hey, Lou, how scientific do you want to get?
Yep.
And what are your goals? And let's cater around that. So the idea of tweaking things every 3 months and you providing input was super helpful, because I was doing all the right things in here. I was doing some of the right things outside, but it was very loose, and I wanted to tighten it up a little bit. Yeah. And that's the flexibility. It can be tight, it can be loose. It depends on your goals, and that's kind of the way you start those conversations. What do you want the next 3 months to look like? Like, what do you want to look back on 3 months and say, hey, I'm glad I got to this place? Because the way you plan that for me is really depends tremendously on what my goals are.
Yep. So as we're kind of concluding the first half of this conversation before we head into the second half, what would just be some advice that you could share either with old Lou, with what new Lou knows, or with a new person off the street, or just a friend that's listening? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I go back to the beginning of the conversation where it's like you can't be afraid of certain movements because all movements scale down. So I was afraid in the beginning of snatch. That was like my biggest fear, and now I love it, right? But in the beginning, it was incredibly intimidating because it's not a basic movement, right? And it's a bar over your head to boot, right? Yep. So don't cherry pick. I would say if you set a goal, talk to your coach and set a goal and say, hey, I want to get in here 4 times a week, and it's like, all right, so come in here and just do the workout. Ask for help, ask for scaling options. You'd be surprised how many people in the community will just say, like, I'll see somebody and I'll see them kind of doing something a little off, and I might just offer some advice. Or I might say, hey, do you need help with that? Because I don't want to, mansplain something, right? But it's also like people did that to me. They're like, hey, your feet, you should go a little bit wider with them, and here's why.
Sure.
Right? Like I was going wide on my on a clean or something or a snatch, and they're like, here's why you want to get him in this position. So you'll find that if you're talking to people and you're opening up, then people are going to welcome you in. The same token,
exactly.
If you don't want to talk to anybody, then people are happy to leave you alone. But
exactly.
I think you're leaving a lot of value on the table.
Yes.
If you're not interacting with people.
Yes. You get in what you get. You get in what you put in. You get out what you put in. There it is.
Yeah.
As far as your one-on-one relationship with your coach, the community, your friendships, all that stuff.
Yeah, but it's good that it's flexible. You don't have to be all in to get something, right?
Exactly.
Because some people, they don't want, that goes back to your goals. What do you want? If you want to just come in here and get some work done, there's plenty of people here that just do that.
Or they just want to come in and just relieve stress. They're like, this is just my 60-minute stress relief, and they don't care about goals. Great. Let's get in here 3-4 days a week. But if you're like, hey, I want to change my life, I want to look good in the mirror, I want to do X, Y, and Z, okay, let's create a different plan to get there.
Yeah, it's very, very flexible.
That's good. So, Lou, I want to talk now about what this drop-in process looks like, because that was a big revelation for you in your story. Talk to us about, just this whole thing, just how it kind of came about.
Yeah, so again, going back to that last year, at the beginning of the year, I had this goal, and I wanted to get 18 classes a month. And then I started looking at my travel kind of itinerary, and I was like, I can't
do it, yeah.
I'm gone 2 weeks of this month. It's impossible, right? Or I'm in and out, and I'm doing 3 days here, 3 days there, and I'm losing my momentum. So I was getting frustrated because I wanted to be very serious about, commitment to this, but, commitment club in general, and just using that as a goalpost. So I don't know. I was telling somebody about it, and they were like, "Well, where do you travel?" And I told them, and they're like, "Oh, there's big cities. Why don't you just drop in someplace?" And I'd never really heard of that. Again,
like, what are you talking about? Drop in what?
I went through the fundamental program here, so I was almost like, "How am I going to do a fundamentals program in, Las Vegas?" And I'm not going to be there long enough. And they're like, "No, once you're good enough, you sign a waiver." And they'll let you pop in there, and you pay money, and you work out. You get a workout in.
Exactly.
I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
Now I can stay on target, right?
Exactly.
So, in the beginning, it really was just about dropping in places as I traveled, because I traveled so much.
Right.
Just to stay committed.
Yes.
Right. But
I think, let me pause you there, because I think that's such a great thing to just start off with, is because we do have a lot of our population that travels, and many people travel. But the assumption behind travel is that whenever there's a disruption, then, I'm just going to enjoy it, or calories don't count on travel, or your mindset is different, then I'll just get back on the wagon or back on track when I get here. But what happens is, what you were experiencing is, if you travel so much, then that ultimately is going to dictate a lot more of your health and fitness than just what you do here at home. And I love just kind of talking about, hey, how can we continue this momentum? It's the same thing with nutrition, but we just have to plan a little bit differently when we're traveling or on vacation. It's the same thing with our workouts. So really quick context, what we do here as far as our CrossFit classes, there are CrossFit gyms all throughout the world. Not even just the United States. There's some over in Iceland, down in Mexico, over in Australia. It is a worldwide thing now that wherever you travel, there's probably a CrossFit gym close by that you can come in and attend one of the classes that is probably very, very similar to a class that we have. Now, they're all different and they're all run differently. They're not like Chick-fil-A, where every Chick-fil-A you go to is the exact same.
Right.
But it is CrossFit is still CrossFit, and you still get that same community feel. So keep going, Lou.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing when you say it's different. It really does give you, now granted, I'm biased because I love this place, but it gives you a really good perspective on some of the things that you guys are doing really, really well here, because not everybody does it. And even when you go to a gym and it's not the greatest experience, or it's not a similar experience, you're learning from that, right? You're like,
yes.
So, I've got tips I'll share later, but it's like you go there and you're like, okay, this is different,
Mm-hmm.
we're just going to start, all right. And me, I'm a big get here 30 minutes early, and I stretch even when there is a really good stretch routine.
Exactly.
Class. So
exactly.
I think it really helps you stay consistent. If you got a good momentum going on in the month,
mm-hmm.
It sucks to just lose that because you're spending 3 days in Vegas where you're there for business, and your diet's already going to suffer a little bit, right? So it helps you keep that momentum going. And it kind of instills this disciplined mindset. It feels disciplined because you don't have to do it, right? You're intentionally doing something difficult. So if I'm out with a client until midnight or 1 o'clock in Vegas or something like that, and I get up and I go to a 7:30 class, that takes a certain amount of discipline to do that. and it's hard to do, but it's also easy to do. You just have to choose to do it. It's like anything else.
Yep.
Especially when you decide consistency is important. And I know there's certain things you can't control, like your diet. If you're entertaining,
Right.
you're gonna take one for the team.
Right.
Right. But if you can at least control, it's something that's within your control and something you're intentionally doing.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels at the beginning. It just felt good to do it because I knew I didn't have to do it. And when you think about CrossFit as a community, you're kind of expanding your community. Right?
I love that.
Like it's just, so it's like the more places you travel, the more opportunities you have to expand your kind of footprint in this place.
Yes.
In this community of CrossFit, and make more friends. Like it's great how many friends I've made doing it, and I didn't really do it for that. So it's like the fact that I'm wearing like a CrossFit Melbourne shirt or something like that, and I'll post it on Instagram, and those guys like the idea that I'm out there because I have a shirt and I had a great experience, and now I've got friends all over the place where if I go consistently, I go back, and it's almost like having another home gym away from this gym.
You're 100% right. I mean, that's part of my story. I didn't start CrossFit here in Georgia. I started CrossFit in Michigan when I was in school. And when I go back to Michigan, I will go drop in and I will see those same people and hop in a workout and just resume old times and give them fist bumps like, hey, we're still in the same community. Whether we live in the same city or not, we're still on the same trajectory doing CrossFit to better our health. And you just kind of give that post-WOD fist bump being like, hey, this is really cool. Same thing. And then I had boxes in Virginia when I lived, and the same thing in Georgia. Like you said, it just expands your community to be like, hey, you're not alone. You're doing this with a group of people. So I would like to really quick, as we're kind of closely rounding third and kind of coming home in our conversation, is what does this process even look like? If someone is traveling, let's just say we've been talking about Vegas. They're going to Vegas for a week for a work trip or whatever, and there's some CrossFit gyms in the area. What does this process even look like, Lou, for you?
Yeah, it's interesting because it actually mimics a pre-CrossFit routine that was not that great. So as I used to travel, I would, I like bourbon. I'm a bourbon guy, so I like going to bourbon bars. So I would actually, before I'm traveling, I'd look where my hotel is, and I'd just search into Google for really cool bourbon bars or like a speakeasy. And there's nothing wrong with that. But
many people do.
But that was that was the process, right? Yeah. And then I'd go to a cool bar, and then whatever, I'd have a good time and relax, and
that's it.
That was okay. Nothing wrong with that, right? It's not the greatest thing if you're kind of health focused and you want to get the best out of yourself, but it established a blueprint where I was like, oh wait, so there's drop-ins, cool. Now I know that. Well, how do I find them, right? So for me, it's like find my hotel, get in Google Maps, and just type in CrossFit, and just find kind of what gyms are in like this radius, right, that I can walk to or get a quick Uber to, and then just do a little research on them. So how close are they? Look at their schedule. How does that fit in my work schedule for the next day? Do I have to get it up really early, or can I fit in a noon class? Like, how do I do this, right? And then I look at reviews. And I don't, you can probably go on CrossFit, like the CrossFit official website, and find affiliates that way. I like to go through Google because I think it opens up more gyms. There's just not enough gyms doing it the other way.
Sure.
Right? So there's always reviews that people talk about drop-ins. I dropped in, and this was my experience. So, and I always go back and I try to leave a Google review as well because it helps. So those are the things. It's like proximity, schedule, reviews. And then for me, it's reaching out to them and kind of saying, hey,
scheduling it.
I'm going to be in town. I'm looking at this class,
what do I need to do?
Can I fill out a waiver? So usually there's an online waiver you fill out.
Yep.
No big deal. They're always super welcoming. I would say this is my own little cheat code. It doesn't work everywhere, but I like it. So when you think about dropping in, I like to get something out of that experience. Just not just 60 minutes of work. So I'll typically ask them if I can buy a T-shirt for my drop-in fee, right? Because they're selling a T-shirt, they want to sell their merch.
Exactly.
I would say 3 out of 4 just say yes.
Yeah.
And it's cool to come away with a T-shirt instead of just paying $20
for an experience.
Which would have been fine on its own. But coming away with a T-shirt, then you can, whenever I wear a T-shirt, I might post something on Instagram and I'll shout them out.
Yes.
And that's fun to do because at this point there's like so many gyms and so many T-shirts that I have that my wife's like just like literally like I thank God I do my own laundry because she just sees them piling up because I use them every day.
CrossFit.
Yeah. So it's fun to kind of do that. I mean, the cost, it's not necessarily cheap, but it's like it might be $20 to drop in and buy a T-shirt. I'm going to use that $20. I would have used that on like a bourbon before,
Sure.
right? So it's
Sure.
like I'm trading off
Yeah.
$20 here versus $20 there.
Exactly.
And it's a way better, it's way better for my body to do it this way.
I mean, money just represents value, and you're finding value in that experience. It's going to continue your momentum, is why you even started this to begin with. So, again, there's nothing right or wrong with if you're going to go towards a hotel close to an amusement park, a hotel close to a bar, a hotel close to a gym. It's just what you're finding value in, which is totally fine. Lou, what have been some drop-in experiences, specifically at CrossFit gyms, is what we're talking about. When we say dropping in, obviously you're just coming for 1 or 2 times and dropping in. What have been some gyms that have stood out that you could even give some shameless plugs to? But more importantly, why did they stand out?
Yeah, so I've got 3. So I think C4 Athletics in Cleveland, and PFC in Las Vegas, and I'd say CrossFit Melbourne in Jersey. And Jersey is my home state, so those guys have been great to me. I think all 3 of them bring what I like to see in a CrossFit experience: a really good warm-up, a really good walk through the strength piece, and so it's kind of what you guys do here, right? So you get in there, you get a nice warm-up, right? Now, my advice to anybody who, like myself, requires extra warm-up, I show up a half hour early. I've got all my tools with me, and I'm warming up.
Mr. Mobilizer?
Yeah, Mobilizer 2022.
That's right.
Award recipient.
Dundee Award.
Yep. So I would say always show up early. If you require some stretching, don't assume that they're going to have a really good dynamic stretch.
It's a great
Because
point.
not everybody does.
It's a great point.
And if I don't have that, I feel like I can't perform, right?
Yeah.
To whatever level I am performing, it's a hindrance if I can't do it. So those guys do really good warm-up routines, really good overview of the strength piece, making sure everybody understands it, and then going through the WOD and just saying, hey, here's how we can scale. So
Yep.
not everybody does that. There's some gyms that just don't do that. And I guess it is a judgment, but it's just like it's not the way that kind of maximizes the experience and minimizes injuries, right? I'll just say that for
Right.
me as a 47-year-old
Right.
male who requires my body to warm up a little bit before I get going.
Yep.
I need all that stuff. So those,
I mean, what you're saying is no different than any, like, for example, you go to a doctor. There's good doctors and bad doctors. There's good physical therapists or bad physical therapists, not in the sense that what they're doing is good or bad, just the experience is either what you're looking for or it wasn't. And the same thing with CrossFit. I mean, CrossFit has the model that they can run the gym however they want to. It's a very decentralized model, which is great because it allows good gyms to really excel and give you a positive experience, and then the other gyms to hopefully learn one day.
Right.
And I've been part of all the above. So, last question, Lou, I'm going to put you on the spot. Have you learned anything throughout this drop-in experience as far as like, hey, why CS&F stands out, or what makes a good gym, or what is like why it's worth it? Did you learn anything along the way?
Yeah, so I think, what CSF allows me to do is to drop into gyms, whether they're good or bad, and still get a really good experience out of them.
Yeah.
Right? So because I have this really good foundation and I understand all the movements, as I'm dropping in, where these gyms, where they're not adding the most value in terms of going through the movements and making sure I understand them. Well,
Sure.
you guys, you, Jill, all the coaches have already done that for me. So I'm not at risk because I've got a really strong foundation.
Good.
So that's kind of where I learned. It's like, C4 and PFC, they've got these huge facilities. Somewhat, I think C4 might be, hard to believe, bigger than our facility. It's
Wow.
a really huge facility. But that's not everything, right? That's part of it. Really good coaching is a huge piece of it, and understanding just the way across the flow of a CrossFit hourly workout. It's like there are very strategic pieces, and the way you guys do it, and the way these guys do it too. It's intentional, right? It's not like you're not just slapping it together. Every single one of these classes that I go to here, they're all basically the same in terms of their fundamental structure.
Yeah, their template.
Yeah, and you just you're just taking pieces in and putting new pieces, pulling pieces out and replacing them with other pieces with whatever movement it is, whatever the
Exactly.
strength piece is. So it's really, because I was so committed here, I got used to that. Like, I'm like, it's almost like the first time I dropped in, they're all welcoming. But I was like, wow, I'm wondering why he didn't explain that better.
Sure.
Because if I didn't know, then I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And I could have hurt myself or whatever, right? So the structure here enables members to drop in anywhere and know that they're not going to be confused about what they should be doing. Because at the end of the day, it's all Olympic CrossFit movements, right? The WODs are all similar. You're just pulling in one workout, putting another. Establishing a good foundation here, again, through your fundamentals program is kind of key. It all makes sense now.
Yes.
It enables us to go wherever we want and get a really good experience and a good workout without sacrificing or introducing potentially get hurt.
Yeah. Lou, this has been fun. Is there any top-of-mind thoughts or anything you want to leave the listeners with as far as just general drop-in advice, CS&F experience? Come check it out. Is there anything on the top of your head?
No, I think we said it all. I mean, this place has been tremendous in providing a foundation for me. I love dropping in. I think if anybody has any questions around the gym, I've got questions before because people see that I'm moving around a lot. But I think it's even if you just do it once, I think if for nothing else, it'll give you a perspective on what your gym is doing right or wrong.
Yes.
If you don't go, if you're not at this gym, then if you're at somebody else's gym and you're happening to be listening to this podcast, drop in. It's fun. I mean, it's actually, it's like anything else. The more you do it, it becomes a routine.
Yep.
And now I travel, and it's like if I'm not dropping in someplace, that's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird if I'm not doing it because it's become so much of my routine. And you go in there, and it's fun. I think when you're at a place that's not familiar, you actually end up doing a lot better because you're not.
Yes, you do. You're not in your routine. You don't have expectations. I know they're going to go this fast, so I'm going to go slow. It's just like, wow, I'm in a new environment, so I'm going to give it my all. At least I'm the exact same way.
Yeah, and they're always showing the new guy love. So it's like they shout you out. It's like, hey, Lou's here from Georgia, and and everybody's super welcoming. And then you have no idea what the ability is of other folks in the class. Like, so when I go here at a 5:30 class, I know who I'm on par with.
Sure.
Who
to
so
look at.
Yeah, whether it's competitive or just fun to kind of like gauge.
Exactly.
Out there, you don't know.
No idea.
So you really just want to show out and give it all even more than you normally do.
And in CrossFit, looks are so deceiving because the most jacked person or a really like fit person may not be the most in shape, and you're going to be like, oh, that person's really good. Then all of a sudden, Joe Schmo over here that's like, doesn't look anything like intimidating, or you just pluck him off the street, absolutely crushes the workout, and you're like, where did this guy or girl come from? Which is why it's so cool to, I mean, like you said, give it your all because it's so, I mean, it could be random or it could just, I mean, the looks are so not dependent on performance necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, it's sneaky, and I would say, like, your first thought might be like, well, I don't know, this is weird. I'm just contacting these guys. They're not going to be welcoming. Like, I think CrossFit gym owners love it when people outside of their gym come. It's like they get to showcase all the stuff that they do.
Yes.
So I always find like an owner is going to be in the class with me, even though they might not normally be there because they really want to put their best foot forward.
Exactly.
And it is a really welcome. It's never, I don't know. I did like 15 last year, and I'm like on 10 already this year.
Wow.
So I'm going to probably double it.
Wow.
And everybody's just like super welcoming. Could not be any more welcoming.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. I mean, it's kind of like you're having an external guest come in your house. It's like you want to be welcoming and hospitable because it's the first time they've come here. You're taking pride in what you've done. It's your place. It's the same kind of thing. Like, we've had many drop-ins come to our gym, and if there's someone else listening that's coming to Georgia, please drop in. We have that same process, and hopefully have a great time. But we want to put on our best for you because, like, we take pride in what we do.
Yeah. So
we love it. Lou, this has been really fun. You make us better. You make the 4:30, 5:30, 6:30 evening times better. I know you're moving on to bigger and better things just with a new move and all that stuff, and we're gonna miss you seeing you around as frequently. You're not leaving because you'll be back jumping in and out a little bit. But this has been really fun, Lou. I appreciate your time, and we will see you on the next episode of the podcast.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today, friends. I hope today's conversation helped you gain a greater understanding of the mission at CS&F to change lives through fitness and nutrition. Check us out on social media or reach out at comingstrengthandfitness.com. We would love to help you take your health to the next level. We'll see you next time.